The anime of Goblin Slayer is stigmatized, ridiculed, and just thrown off by some people due to its infamous first episode, where we see a group of amateur adventurers get absolutely brutalized in a goblin cave, and the R word also occurs. And I remember when this first came out, it caused quite the stir. This first episode motivated some viewers to keep consuming more Goblin Slayer and others to label it an over-the-top AG anime that is trying too hard, and they just tossed it in the bin. And I'm here to tell you that Goblin Slayer is a good show, and the standout feature for me about it is its main character, Goblin Slayer. Yes, he's actually called Goblin Slayer, that's his real name, at least that's what every character in the show is calling him up to this point. And Goblin Slayer, ever since the start of the show, we see him fixated on hunting down goblins and taking quests that only involves goblins. We see that he has a huge obsession with goblins, and we come to understand why he is like that. We see a flashback of him when he was a boy, where he had to witness the goblins doing nasty stuff to his sister before eventually killing her. And I have to emphasize that the goblins in this show are the worst vile creatures you can find in a story. They do absolutely irredeemable stuff each time they encounter a human. So when I see the obsession he has with killing and torturing goblins to the point that it reaches unhealthy levels, I am still rooting for him. This obsession that Goblin Slayer has is not necessarily bad, even though the story portrays it as such from time to time. We humans need this unhealthy obsession if we want to accomplish something grand and meaningful in life, and Goblin Slayer embodies that for me. All he thinks about is goblins, to the point that this dude learned to sleep with one eye open just in case goblins try to ambush him. How insane is that? As the story progresses and we see him start getting acquainted with his now party members, we see him have interactions with them and see his human side a bit, and he is developing as a character. But still, that obsession he has with goblins never fades away. This obsession he has with goblins is oddly motivating, and I think that sort of obsession is important for anyone who wants to achieve great things in life. We see many people who have already made it in life telling us that route of being in that negative mindset, only thinking about achieving your goals, that mindset is bad. But that is the same mindset that people who have already made it in life help them get there. And seeing Goblin Slayer, he is the perfect example of unhealthy obsessions getting you to your goals. That is one of the reasons I like Goblin Slayer. It tells a truth of life that is not discussed as much. Another story that does this is Blue Lock. I already made a video on it, make sure to check it out. Also, him being this stoic and single-minded character leads to interactions that you don't find in many stories and are just pure gold in terms of both drama and comedy. The comedic ones for me is that when he doesn't want to get involved in anything that doesn't involve goblins, such as the time the guild manager asked him to observe a negotiation and he took some convincing to do that, and those scenes were pretty hilarious. And in terms of drama, that scene where Goblin Slayer asks the people in the guild with his head bowed, throwing his pride and everything away, doing that even though he knows he isn't popular among the guild members, that was kind of tough to watch, because we know Goblin Slayer at that point in the story was disliked by many members of the guild, and him desperately begging just goes to show you that there are multiple facets to him. The great thing about Goblin Slayer is that since he's stoic most of the time, when scenes occur when we have to see other facets of himself, they become very impactful, and I really appreciate that. Now that I have talked the positives, I need to touch upon some of the negatives. And most of the positives I saw from this anime is unfortunately only from the contents of the first season. In season 2, animation, plot, and character work-wise, almost everything pales in comparison to season 1. The story feels slice of life-ish. In season 2, the story seems to lack focus. every arc seems to be repetitive, like going to the dungeon, unexpected situations occur and they somehow overcome it, and it's rinse and repeat every arc. And people might argue saying it's like that because it's heavily inspired by D&D campaigns and stuff, but season 1 was also the same and it was still good, so that can't be an excuse. And it also might be due to the change of studios, but it really was sad season 2 was not the same quality as season 1, because I heard from the light novel readers that season 2 shies away from the violence that occurs in the light novel, and that's pretty disappointing. They adapted it like that because you can't see the magic of season 1 anywhere in season 2. Goblin Slayer season 1 had the brutality that you wouldn't get from other anime, and I respected it because it dared to do things that other anime of its ilk wouldn't. The animation quality was top notch for the battles, the character work was exceptional, and you find barely any of it in season 2, making it feel like your run-of-the-mill anime. I don't know why the people who worked on season 2 took this route, but Goblin Slayer season 1 and also the movie Goblin's Crown are some of the most unique, enjoyable, and even thematically strong stories out there, and you should definitely check them out. That's all I have to say for today. If you've made it this far, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot. And with that said, see you in the next one.